Welcome everyone to today's workbook discussion on Zoom. Welcome also to all who join us later by watching or listening to this recording. I'm Laura Fenimore, the Chief Development Officer and Volunteer Coordinator with the Foundation for Inner Peace, the scribe authorized publisher of A Course in Miracles. We really appreciate your partnership with the Foundation. And if you want to learn more about the Foundation or A Course in Miracles, please visit acim.org. If you feel inspired to make a love offering, please visit acim.org, and at the top of the page, you will find the word donate. All donations support the work of the Foundation. Each session will be delving into a discussion of the workbook lessons in A Course in Miracles, led by a moderator team of volunteers that work with the Foundation. What does discussion mean? In our gatherings here, we welcome the Holy Spirit to join us. Through this presence, our meeting becomes a joining of equals to commune with the Holy Spirit's guidance to experience miracles together. Some of the moderators here also support our social media channels, and if you'd like a list of FIP resources, please email support@acim.org, and we'll be happy to share the resource list with you. Now let's begin our discussion.
Well, thank you all so much for being here. This is a wonderful, wonderful amount of people. We really appreciate all of your presence here. And I would like to start off our discussion today with a beautiful passage from the Course. It's the last paragraph in the text. And if you could all just settle yourselves and get comfortable and close your eyes if you want to. And it says, "And now we say, Amen. For Christ has come to dwell in the abode you set for him before time was, in calm eternity. The journey closes, ending at the place where it began. No trace of it remains. Not one illusion is accorded faith, and not one spot of darkness still remains to hide the face of Christ from anyone. Thy will is done, complete and perfectly, and all creation recognizes you and knows you as the only source it has. Clear in your likeness does the light shine forth from everything that lives and moves in you. For we have reached where all of us are one, and we are home where you would have us be." I just love that. Thank you. So today we are looking at lesson, I believe it was 85. I think we finished the last bit of lesson 84 last week. Is that what all of you have?
Yes.
That's right.
Johanna is, am I right? We're okay, 85. Okay. So lesson 85 says, we're in the review section, and we're reviewing lesson 69. My grievances hide the light of the world in me. And I'd like to ask someone to read the first half, and then someone to read the second half. Do I have any volunteers? Yeah, Stephanie, you're right up there on top. You want to read the first one? And do I have any other volunteers? Aha, Doreen. So Stephanie and Doreen, you go first, Stephanie.
So I'm reading number 1, right? Is that right?
You're reading 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. Lesson 85. Today's review will cover these ideas. 1. My grievances hide the light of the world in me. My grievances show me what is not there and hide from me what I would see. Recognizing this, what do I want my grievances for? They keep me in darkness and hide the light. Grievances and light cannot go together, but light and vision must be joined for me to see. To see, I must lay grievances aside. I want to see, and this will be the means by which I will succeed. 2. Specific applications for this idea might be made in these forms. Let me not use this as a block to sight. The light of the world will shine all this away. I have no need for this. I want to see.
Shall I continue, Sharon?
Yes, Doreen, go ahead with 3 and 4.
Okay, number 3. My salvation comes from me. Today I will recognize where my salvation is. It is in me because its source is there. It has not left its source, and so it cannot have left my mind. I will not look for it outside myself. It is not found outside and then brought in, but from within me, it will reach beyond. And everything I see will but reflect the light that shines in me and in itself. Number 4. These forms of the idea are suitable for more specific applications. Let it not tempt me to look away from me for my salvation. I will not let this interfere with my awareness of the source of my salvation. This has no power to remove salvation from me.
Thank you both for reading. I appreciate it. Does anyone have any thoughts about these 2 lessons that we're reviewing? And I can't see all of you, so if there's hands up, you might want to get rid of the screen. There you go. Okay, so I don't see any hands. You go, oh, here we go. Mia. You're muted though, Mia. There you go.
So, I was doing the lessons above like what's on the Instagram. So this is actually similar to what the lesson there is. And so yesterday I had a grievance and it took my day. And I was like, I felt like I disappeared. I literally felt like I disappeared. And then when I finally was like, what are you doing? It's like, what's going on here? It's really disorienting. And then I said, okay, what did you show me? Think about this. What was the deal? You were perceiving something that wasn't there. It wasn't there. Go back to the facts. What story did you create out of the situation that you went down the rabbit hole? And I was like, wait, okay, this is the story, but this has been the story my whole life. Oh, it's the idea that when you want to be seen, and no matter how much attention you get or what's going on around you, you can't, or at least in my case, see that it's actually happening in front of you in the moment. And so this story was created around me, and I was seeing the whole world through this story, and that became my grievance for a lot of stuff. And so when I sat down yesterday and I said, this is no longer true. It wasn't true in the first place, but now I am saying it is no longer true. And I did the whole thing. I forgive myself for ever believing in this. And today I was like, this is really the course's whole thing for me. When I came to the course and I found this, the whole thing about the grievances, because a lot of stuff didn't make sense to me until I learned about the grievances. The minute you complain, the minute you have some sort of attack or whatever, it keeps you from the love. It keeps you from your own love. It's like you might as well just be beating yourself in the head all day long. And then at the end of the day, you go like, why do I have a bruise? on my forehead. And it's like, finally we get to see the bruise. And it's like, how do you heal the bruise? Love. That's it,
Yeah,
love.
yeah, yeah.
When I love myself, I don't beat myself up and I don't attack myself. And therefore, I can't attack others because the attack is not going outside of me anymore. It's not in me anymore. So that's what this whole lesson review for 69 it meant to me.
Isn't that a wonderful thing when you get that aha and you can actually see it in your life and how it plays out? It's just the best feeling. I'm so glad you shared that with us. Thank you. And Bill.
Yes, thank you very much, Mia. That's awesome. That's true.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about this because it's very interesting that in the circle of people that I'm associated with in my life personally, I was having a conversation with one female, and she was explaining to me about how she is going through all these like on the dating apps, and then finding people to date, and then talking, and then finally meeting, and then going to meet. And every single one that she meets is just, she's got this very sad story about how corporeally, how physicality they're based. They don't even have an ability to talk a conversation. All they're talking, thinking is what they can do with their bodies together. And so all of them, no matter how much conversation they have, when she meets them, she finds that that's all that they can think and do. And it's like, I go, oh, these are my brothers who are out there who have no idea, no clue, no nothing, nobody, nothing talking to them. And they just are living these life as these zombies in their flesh. And I just automatically started thinking, I told her not to bother doing this anymore. Quit looking outside of yourself for what you can only find within yourself. These are the little messages that the Spirit's kind of giving me to like edge into her as we talk. And that's what we do as teachers of God. We try to get the messages into them as the Holy Spirit would put it through. And so I said, okay, what can I do? I can't, I see that in your life right now, you're going to be doing this dating thing and talking with all these people. And I'm thinking, if I can somehow put a seed into her that she will put into them, then I'm helping this situation. So it's not a loss. It's, even though it is a loss because there's nothing to find in it, but it's not a loss because the Spirit is connecting and loving itself through it in every single connection on earth. So it is what it is. And I'm thinking, scratching my head, what is the perfect seed that I could give her who doesn't fully understand anything, and to give to them that might work? And what would that seed be? If I could give somebody something to give to someone, what would I tell them? And I figured it out. I kind of like worked with her to see if we could figure it out, because I got her agreeing, because these guys, she just has to walk away, make someone call her to pull her away or whatever to get away from these guys. Well, what seed can she give? I told her, put your hand on the shoulder and say, my son, and look at them straight in the eyes and say, your happiness comes from within. You can't find it within first, and without will find you. Something like that. She's going to do that, and she's going to tell these people that happiness comes from within. So they're good. That's the first seed, and that we're going to get. And yes, this grievances, same thing, Mia, with me, when I finally understood it. It was a blessing, because I didn't believe that I had anything that I needed to forgive. I was already on the plane of forgiving the world, and I thought that I had, but yet it assured me that if I am not seeing him continuously, it's only because of some hidden grievance that I must have. So now, because of these lessons, so now I'm always always looking deeper what I might be grieving that I don't know that I am, and to try to bring that to the light so that I can let it go. And then I think that's just the rest of the journey is just like that. Until all of a sudden we have zero grievances and we're perfectly the Son of God, and the world doesn't exist anymore. So until then.
Yeah. Until then, we have our work to do. And I think,
find out
That ego is so sneaky. And
You-
it cracks me up how I'll read some and I'll think, oh no, I don't have, I don't have that in me. I don't recognize any of that. I can't relate to that. And then another little voice is going, oh yeah, look a little deeper.
Yeah.
Because it's there. Oh my gosh, especially if I can see it in someone else, I know it's there in me, or I would not recognize it. What is that? You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, Bill. Stephanie.
Well, the first thing I want to say is that after every group I've been in with you on Wednesday, it has stayed with me the whole week. And I find that profound. And I know it's because the wisdom in A Course in Miracles is so great, combined with the goodwill of the group. It's amazing. So I'm not going to go into details, but I want to say what Bill Kay said last week stayed with me every single day this past week and changed my perception about something in a positive way. So I just want to say that in terms of what Bill said, I agree and I disagree respectfully with some of what he said. So all the things about, like what's going on out there, I do also have compassion. I mean, it shocks me how much focus there is on the body and on eating food and on all that. Shocks me now, but it didn't shock me before I studied. But the other thing I want to say is I was on a date. I am still on a dating website, Spiritual Singles, and I met a guy almost a year ago, and we got very involved. And some of you know some things because I wrote about it. And then I had my heart broken, and I learned from it. And I just want to say, he and I are speaking now, and I feel we are really creating a holy relationship. Now, I'm not seeing him as somebody that I'm romantically involved with at this point, but he trusts me. Oh my God, today I had the thought I would wrap his trust in me and my belief that I deserve the trust is more important to me than whether he tells me he's in love with me or not. I'm telling you, for me, that's like victory. I spent my whole life looking for romantic love. So I don't know. I am so joyful. And it really is not about being in love. It's really about
Right.
found the holy grail. I mean, wow, I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful, Stephanie. I really, really enjoyed that. Uma.
The quote is, if you ask me, I will tell you where to go, who to talk to, and what to say. I'm still working on it. I would like to know what to say and to remember what to say. But I'm saying that because someone earlier was saying, I'm racking my head on what to say. And right there in the book, it says, Holy Spirit will tell you what to say.
Yeah.
And the other thing, that lady earlier, my God, I walk in there and all I have to do is go, this is an illusion. Oh God, I hope I remember that. Thank you.
Yeah, we all need to remember that it's an illusion because it sure looks real, but it's not. Thank you, Uma. Maggie.
Hi, everybody. And thank you for the discussion so far. I raised my hand to respond to Bill, and then I kind of feel like Uma said something too that just kind of connects with where my mind had gone while I was listening to him. But Bill, I was listening to you talk about like this idea of plant the seed, like you said that a few times, like plant the seed. And like I plant the seed in this person who will go and like plant the seed in these other people. And while I was listening to you, it was just making me think about and have like this feeling of like extension of just like love extending out. And so I was like thinking about it in that way and really feeling you on that. And kind of like Uma just said, I did have like I noticed my mind react to you in your share that you're like trying to think of the thing to say. I noticed my mind react to that and be like, oh, you don't need to do that. For the very reason that Uma just outlined. But the other thing that I had thought to just share with you, Bill, is that while I was listening to you, I was thinking about the holy encounter you know, it's like there's a paragraph in that sections, because that's in chapter 8. There's a paragraph in the Holy Encounter that is just seared in my mind. It's a big part of my course practice and how I think about my interactions with other people. And it's the paragraph when it says, when you meet anyone, remember it is a holy encounter. As you see him, you will see yourself. As you treat him, you will treat yourself. As you think of him, you will think of yourself. Never forget this, for in him you will find yourself or lose yourself. And so when you're talking about plant a seed in this other person who will then go and, you know, plant it in others, and I really kind of, again, translated that in my mind as listening to you as like this extension of love. But it's like, yeah, I would want to plant a seed into the other that I would want planted in me, right? Because that's the whole holy encounter. Like, as I see this person is how I'm going to see myself. As I treat them is how I'm going to treat myself. So how would I want to treat myself? What would I want to plant in myself? And really kind of letting that be a way that you tune into the right teacher, right? The right voice, either fear or love. And so like, I want to plant something loving because that's what I want. I want to come from that place rather than the fearful place. But then I think in my practice, I don't try to figure out what specific thing to do or say from the ego, from the little self. It's more of like just get lined up with the right mind and then see what unfolds from there. But I don't think that's much different than what you're describing, Bill. Honestly, I think that comes from practice over time and my experience, it kind of coming into the way that I talk about it and see it at this point. But it felt so connected to what you were saying. It felt connected to Mia making that point right from the beginning about how we're only hurting ourselves, right? So like what you do put into the other is like what you are putting out into yourself. And so that was all. I just wanted to share that with you. That was all inspired just listening to you, Bill. Thank you.
That was so awesome. It's exactly right on the money. Like, we won't know what the message is that the HS is going to give to this person. All I know, while I'm waiting, and all I'm doing when we're talking to these people, because no one knows what we're talking about. So we're listening to the stories, and I get into it emotionally because it's nothing but stories. And I allow myself to go and feel the emotion. And that's my blessing of the moment of listening to a meaningless story. But all I'm really doing while I'm doing that is waiting for the moment that the spirit will plant the seed. And just because I'm human, I'm thinking the seed it's in you. It's in you. Something that they will remember and just go out of and just not understand it, because that's what we will remember. If it really clashes, but we really heard it, it's like it's in you. And that will really clash with their ego. And if I can get it in there, they will like, oh, it's a beautiful start. Just those 3 words. We just came up with it. Now, that's more than what I hoped for.
Thank you, Bill. And thank you, Maggie. That was great. And Mia, did you want to add something?
Yes. So in addition to what I said is after that, and I said I forgive myself because I recognize my grievance. And then I said, well, what can I do? Like, really, what can I do? And it's like, I bless myself. I bless myself. I bless myself. And as I bless myself, I bless others. As I bless myself, I bless myself. And as I bless myself, I bless others. Because I realize whatever I'm seeing or hearing, all of that stuff is not out there. And that's the kind of thing that really, when I first really started to grasp that, I started to have some really weird, freaky things happen to me. I would have someone say something to me that someone else just said to me, and very bizarre words. They're not like just like a normal sentence. Very specific grievances that I'm not really thinking about, but they are presenting to me as a reflection of what's going on inside of me. And then a week later, another person said the same exact words. I said, oh my gosh. That's not them saying that stuff to me. That is not them doing anything to me. That is my inner reality talking to me. And wow, wow. And when I got to that point, that's really when I started to see my brothers as an inner reflection, because if it's like the grievances come, you don't know what they are, they come out because you're exposed to them. And so even if you hide in your house, this is the hilarious part, even if you hide out in your house, never leave the house, they're going to find you, because you'll turn on the television or you'll turn on the computer and it'll pop up and you'll say, I don't like that. Well, there you go, there's your lesson right there for the day.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly it. Thank you, Mia.
Welcome.
We need to always keep that in mind too. Rich.
I'm all right. I mean, I know the topic is grievances, and I'm reading through lesson 85. So what I would want to share, what I'm thinking about, I mean, grievances are very hard to overcome. I mean, a grievance, a real or imagined wrong, other cause for complaint or protest, what I perceive as unfair treatment, and knowing that it's always false. The will of God is never that. You know, the will of God is never something, you know, it's never an imagined or real wrong, unfair treatment, never. So, but how do I overcome my grievances? Because I have some. So I'm looking in the book about, you know, thinking about this body as a pile of dust. That is in the book a lot. And there's a lot of great ideas about it. The body is a tiny fence around a little part of a glorious and complete idea. So seeing myself and others as, holy, joyous, conflict-free, capital S self, a capital S spirit, a capital M mind, and not a body, even while living, you know, but to just get the understanding. Why would I defend? So the paragraph goes on there. Why would I defend this little speck of dust? And to defend this little speck of dust, it bids you fight against, you know, the universe, or fighting against all sorts of things. You know, this little speck of dust. So that's the idea that I want to really take in, that ACIM is calling this body a speck of dust, a pile of dust, and a lot of times. I mean, this, you know, like I like a couple other sentences about it. Well, actually, somewhat interesting here, in the lesson 85, the second half, my salvation, right? My salvation, my oneness with God, my holy, joyous, conflict-free way of being. It says, in one of the paragraphs, it says, salvation is undoing. If you choose to see the body, you behold a world of separation. And it goes on and it says, you know, who could have trust where so much change is seen? For who is worthy if he be but dust? So, you know, so we're not this body, is the message over and over again. What's it say here about, let me see, something else, one more thing here. Oh, okay. So, just really understanding that the book is calling this body a little pile of dust, and I just shouldn't have grievances for that reason alone. I mean, it says here, salvation of the world depends on you and not upon this little pile of dust. My real me, you know, my real me couldn't possibly have a grievance, because a grievance is always identified with the body. So you suffer pain because the body does, and in this pain are you made one with it. This is your no, I don't. There's another one here about salvation of the world now depends on you. Okay, I read that one. Anyway, all right, so that's the idea. That's something I'm looking up, a bunch of sentences about. This body is really just dust, and so we shouldn't have grievances.
Yeah, I agree. We shouldn't, but we do. And we just need to really recognize them when they come up and not deny them. And I like to think of myself as, I know I'm not a body. I am not my body. And I'll really know that's true when I stop getting on the scale in the morning. Until then, it's like, yeah, you can say that, but why are you weighing yourself? Anyway. Okay. Did anyone else want to say anything about either lesson 69 or my salvation comes from me? Do we all know that? Do we all really believe it? Okay, so let's go to lesson 86, which is a review of lesson 71 and 72. So can I have 2 more volunteers? Keith, we haven't heard from you in a while. Would you be willing to read? And
Yeah.
Ruth, would you be willing to read the second half? Yeah? Okay. Keith, you read 1 and 2, and Ruth, you read 3 and 4.
Okay. 71. Only God's plan for salvation will work. It is senseless for me to search wildly about for salvation. I have seen it in many people and in many things, but when I reached for it, it was not there. I was mistaken about where it is. I was mistaken about what it is. I will undertake no more idle seeking. Only God's plan for salvation will work, and I will rejoice because his plan can never fail. These are some suggested forms for applying this idea specifically. I can't see the rest.
Oh, yeah. Can you scroll up?
I'm having trouble scrolling up. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll read those for you then, Keith. It says
There you go.
God's. Okay,
you go.
good. Go ahead, Keith.
All right. God's plan for salvation will save me from my perception of this. This is no exception in God's plan for my salvation. Let me perceive this only in the light of God's plan for salvation.
Right. Thank you. And Ruth?
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna have to just come out of the closet. I'm extremely visually challenged and I cannot read the screen. I so apologize.
That's okay.
If I could, I would, but I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I'd like to say before we went to this next part. It's really helpful when I see the word salvation. I think of the word salve, and
yeah.
very super helpful for me as I do that piece, salvation and salve, like that balm across our mind, which is salvation and forgiveness. I just wanted to mention that while we were talking about that part there, but I apologize. I won't be able to read that.
No, that's okay. And thank you for saying that. I never thought of that. Salvation, the root of that word being salve, like a balm. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mia, did you want to say something, or are you volunteering to read?
Volunteering to read?
Oh, go right ahead.
Okay. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Holding grievances is an attempt to prove that God's plan for salvation will not work. Yet only his plan will work. By holding grievances, I am therefore excluding my only hope of salvation from my awareness. I would no longer defeat my own best interest in this insane way. I would accept God's plan for salvation and be happy. Specific applications for this idea might be in these forms. I am choosing between misperception and salvation. As I look on this, if I see grounds for grievances in this, I will not see the grounds for my salvation. This calls for salvation, not attack.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one to remember. Anytime something comes up that causes a grievance, if we could just remember to say that to ourselves, this calls for salvation, not attack. Megan.
I just like how it says we widely look around, and I have, it also says, how insane we are to look anywhere else for salvation. But I do experience myself at times furtively looking around for things that my ego thinks might help me, and still forgetting to ask God for help. Because as it says, only God's plan for salvation works, which means that that little willingness has to be also not just willingness that I had at the beginning, but also to remember to speak God's name, to ask God, to invite God into my life. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Megan. Okay, Stephanie.
The way I used to think I would find salvation was through analyzing and figuring everything out. And I did a lot of that. And I am changing. I will not say I have changed completely, but it's an enormous relief to not, I have to figure everything out all the time.
Yeah.
So I just have to send a special thank you to Johanna for helping me with that. Thank you, Johanna.
Yes. Thank you, Johanna. And thank you too, Stephanie. Mia.
When I first came to the course, there was one thing that really, like a year ago, someone said, you're searching for something. And my whole life I've been searching for something and I didn't know what it was. And when the course said, you are already home, those were the words that said, I've been home all the time. And so now how do I get back to that state of homeness, right? And so I have highlighted, I would no longer defeat my own best interests in this insane way. And the course does talk about insanity, and it's really kind of how I felt. I felt like I was crazy because nothing made sense. No matter how much I would think about it, no matter how much I would analyze it, there's something missing. There's something I can't see. And so when I came to the course, it's like, of course you can't see it. It doesn't exist. You're looking for meaning where there is none. You're searching, you're trying to find, that's what the course says. You're searching and there is nothing you're going to find out there. It doesn't exist. And so that's the salvation. The salvation is saying, all right, I get this. Everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm seeing, if I'm not seeing it through spirit, then I'm not seeing it, period, done.
Right.
I'm upsetting myself, or if I'm upsetting others, I am not living in spirit. I'm becoming my own victim of my own ego and using that as whatever my story running with that story. And since I found this group, I'm able to kind of verbalize the experience, because that idea of salvation, just from outer experiences prior to this course, didn't make sense to me. Like, I'm like, what? No, I don't get that. But this I get. This to me makes 100%. Because if it's already in you, you have nowhere to go. You have nothing to do. All you have to do is say, oh yeah, that's right.
That's right. It's remembering.
I don't have to do anything. And that's like why yesterday when I went through the grievances and after the whole thing was over, like I don't know, like the ego waned. I don't know. I wore myself out. And I came back. It's like, yeah, all right. Yeah. I don't like that. Like, I don't like that feeling of the grievance. I don't like that feeling. Who is that person? That's nothing. That's meaningless. What did I do? And the salvation really is just being able to stay present in that moment. And here's another thing that I notice, and maybe other people notice it too. When I'm around people, I notice I forget, because there's something that I'm trying to do to myself. Whenever I'm around people, I tell myself, don't forget to bless them. When you're looking at everyone around you, just say, bless you, bless you, bless you. And I'll go to a place with thousands of people, like say an amusement park. And then as I'm leaving, I'll say, oh, that's right, I forgot to bless the people while I was there, knowing that I'm just blessing myself 1,000 times and it's all related. But it's that idea that I get stuck in that that illusion of where I am or what it is. And that's really what I'm trying to resolve with the salvation, is just keep it longer and longer in my memory of when I'm actually interacting with people.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you. Yeah, it reminded me of something. I listen to people talk and a thought will pop into my mind, and then I listen more and another thought will pop in and the other thought goes away. But I agree with everything you said. Rich.
Well, I triggered something in myself when I said grievances are about the body. I didn't exactly read it, but I just thought it and said it out loud. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. And, but it's true. It's true. Grievances are about the body. I'm looking for things here. I mean, the lessons on grievances, this is actually pretty interesting. If we stay with this, consecutive lessons wise, kind of starts around lesson 68, continues on where we're at through like 73, and then picks it back up again around 78, all kinds of sentences about the topic in there, 84, 85, and then the review lessons for it. So overcoming grievances is obviously a big subject in his book for a good reason, because I know I have some. So another thing about grievances, just that, so yes, the sentence is in there. It says very directly, lesson 68, to hold a grievance is to see yourself as a body. But then it says right after that, it says to hold a grievance is to let the ego rule your mind. So there is a connection here between mind and body in terms of grievances.
Oh, yeah.
But still, I prefer to think about this as a 100% body problem, simply because it also says in there, we got this wonderful paragraph about, perhaps it is not so apparent why holding grievances is an attack on yourselves. But let us consider the kinds of things you're apt to hold grievances for. Are they not always associated with something a body does? And it goes on from there. But yeah, what it's about is, quite practically, it's about my pleasure versus not having my pleasure. Like, I want my pleasure, whatever it might be, whatever it might be. I want my pleasure. I'm not getting my pleasure. I'm angry about that. I have a grievance. I'm not getting whatever body pleasure I want. So, that to me is, the nuts and bolts of, from a practical standpoint, that's what we're really talking about.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Rich. Maggie.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. I love that honesty. You're cracking me up when you're like, I triggered myself. I gotta talk about this. I mean, it's so relatable, right? So it's funny because it's so relatable. And it reminded me of what Mia was saying earlier, like, you don't even need to go anywhere. Like, you don't even need to turn on the TV, Mia. Like, we just trigger ourselves. So, but the original reason I had raised my hand actually was to respond to Mia. Mia, while you were talking about being in the presence of others and forgetting, like just forgetting the truth, forgetting your practice, forgetting all of it temporarily, that was very relatable too. And I raised my hand to say that and to thank you for sharing it. I had this experience so much for many years practicing the course. I mean, I want to say maybe even 10 years into it, it was still occurring. And I noticed that it was always more significant the more people there were. Like if I was in a one-on-one interaction, I could hold it better. And in my job working as a therapist, like I'm very like acutely aware in the sessions with clients of the truth and that this is someone bringing my own issues to me. But then when I would be in settings where there was more than one, and it wasn't just a one-on-one interaction, like if I would teach sometimes at the local university, and it was just like out of my mind. I'm teaching this class, there's these bodies in front of me, I'm disseminating this information, and it would just like leave me. And then later be like, oh, okay, yeah. And then like, okay, what grievances did I have? Like what happened during that time? And I was almost like looking back and letting myself then acknowledge the things after the fact because I'd been a little mindless during the moment. And the most significant place that this would happen was with my family. And that was like the last vestige of it, where I would be able to really hold it in my mind. It seemed everywhere and in all settings, except in the presence of my family. And I'm talking about my family of origin, like my parents and my brother. And so in those settings, up until I want to say just only a few years ago, it was just a few years ago, the first time that I realized I'm remembering it even while in the presence of my family. And that was a really big deal for me. So I was really related, Mia, and I agree with you that I think that it is an important part of the practice to be trying to essentially extend out that time that you are remembering and having more of that time versus the forgetting time. And it's just a practice, but thank you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you, Maggie. Mia.
Yeah, so thank you for saying that, Maggie. It's being here in the presence of everyone here. I've learned some things, especially from Joanna, because I didn't have role models that kind of emulated kindness growing up, or just up even to this point that I've been on the planet for over 50 years. I haven't had role models for that. And this is the first time being in this group that I see that. So thank you. And the thing that I find interesting when I talk to people is that when there's a lot of different little grievances that are kind of society based taught, and it's like this unlearning of that, like what Rich said. Is he here? Rich said it's basically like we're all having a tantrum. We're all 2-year-olds and we're all having a tantrum. And we want it now. We want it the way that we want it. And I'm not having it the other way. I'm going to sit here and make myself miserable and blame it on you until I get my way. And I'm wondering why I have a problem. And so, like, for me, coming to the course, that solves everything, though. It solves the whole cycle of that. And every one of us here is breaking that cycle. We might be breaking it like 0.0001% a day if it was quantifiable. But every time we break that cycle just a little bit, our little child goes, okay, fine. I'll settle for this. And then the next day it's like, okay, this is not so bad. Oh, wow, this is great. This is actually better than having a tantrum. This is amazing. What are you talking about? I could be happy all the time and not care about all the other stuff. Who knew? So that's why I think I don't think getting over the grievances is difficult at all. I think it's easy. It's just a matter of setting it as this is what it is. This is what the grievance is. And this is how I feel during the grievance. And okay, but I don't have to choose that anymore. And then as you keep on not choosing it over several times of not choosing it, then you settle into that happiness, just like Maggie was saying. Every time you're in front of your family and you remember the course and you do it again, and then you do it again, and you do it again, you're like, wait a minute, this feels great. And that's what's happening for me. It's like, oh yeah, I messed up yesterday, whatever. That's okay. That's okay. I forgive myself because I learned, I recognized it, I was aware, I pinpointed it, I sat with it. I didn't do the processing of the analyzing. I just said, what was the grievance? What did I do? I forgive myself. I bless myself. And that's, I think, for me, just saying those words after it makes it so next time it won't happen, or if it starts to happen, like I almost feel like that blessing, like in blessing myself, I kind of feel like I say, the next time this happens, the blessing will reactivate to remind you of this. And so it'll say, this is not where it's going against what's happening here. Oh yeah, that's right. There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it's helping me.
Thank you, Mia. And this thought about blessing people, I think for me, I like to remember to ask them, Remember that the phrase in the Course where it says, give me your blessing, you Holy Son of God. I just love that. And I love saying that to people silently when I meet a stranger, just to say, give me your blessing, you Holy Son of God, and smile at them. And something lights up in them. See, I really believe that that communication goes, we don't really have to, like Bill, you want to put something in their mind. You are putting something in their mind just by loving them. You don't have to say or do anything. The love you feel for them, it bleeds right into them. That's what I think. Megan.
I love what we're talking about. I love Mia's approach. In the Course somewhere, we've talked about cherished grievances, and I used to talk about a little box in the corner where I had a whole, bunch of cherished grievances ready to take out. And so following Mia, I realized when I have energy to put at it, that I've been putting myself in situations where I'm usually triggered, and usually I will respond in an egoistic, me against the world, them against me kind of situation. And instead, I've decided, instead of cherishing grievances, I'm going to cherish the sight with God and cherish the light within. And so that's a habit, kind of like Mia's talking about, is to keep remembering that I am choosing what I'm doing. I'm choosing what to cherish. And I'm instead of cherishing grievances, I'm going to try to cherish the opposite, which is, what is there cherishable? What is the grievance? How can I instead cherish what is not the grievance? Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Megan. Beautifully said. Uma.
I love what Mia said about tantrums. Because so I'm in here doing a Zoom, and I had announced to my 3 roommates that I was Zooming, and they will go out of the anyhow, so they're in there talking a little lower than you, but I can hear it. And I got my headset on, and I'm pressing it against my ears, and I got it as loud as possible, and it's still over the top. And then so until she said tantrum, I was getting buzzy. I didn't sleep much, buzzy, weak, and the whole thing. Oh my God, what a great dissertation. So now I see the whole world as a bunch of 2-year-olds having a tantrum, unless they happen to be an adult at the moment. Now I've always had one problem. If I'm blessing everyone, and like you said, bless me, Holy Son of God, silently blessing them, you are innocent. The idea in the book is that they should respond to me kindly or okay, but come on, people ran Jesus out of some of those towns. Even the Lord Christ couldn't get everybody to react nice to them. Please, is this what they're saying to me?
I think your internet just went out, Uma. Oh, there you're back. But thank you. Were you done? Uma, were you finished? Oh, okay. And we are out of time. I just want to read one little thing as we leave, and thank you so much for being here. This is at the end of chapter 16. You probably all know it by heart, but I love this. Forgive us our illusions, Father, and help us to accept our true relationship with you, in which there are no illusions and where none can ever enter. Our holiness is yours. What can there be in us that needs forgiveness when yours is perfect? The sleep of forgetfulness is only the unwillingness to remember your forgiveness and your love. Let us not wander into temptation, for the temptation of the Son of God is not your will. And let us receive only what you have given, and accept but this into the minds which you created and which you love. Amen. Thank you for being here today, and I hope you come back next time.